Now let's learn how to properly print our worksheet in Excel. So let's assume we have here this sheet that we are willing to print out for several purposes. Now the first thing you want to confirm is your sheet lying in the printing area. Like while you're working on your sheet, if you want to make sure each segment of the sheet need to be located in a certain page and you don't need it to be cut from one page to another, then it is a good practice to go to view. Then you can click on the page break preview. You can play around with these to see where is your printing area. In this case, the printing area is been labeled in blue. That means all the data that you're listing in this tab is falling within the printing area. If it is not, there's a workaround about it. If in case you forgot to identify where is your printing area before you start to work on your sheet, or you don't want to bother spending that time ahead of time, you just want to go ahead into the point and work on your sheet freely. Then later you figure out how to print it out within the page margins and so that's fine as well. When you finish working on your paper, now you want to print it. What you do, you go to File, then you go to Print. With doing that, you will see a lot of options for printing. Here you can see how many copies to be printed from that specific tab. Then you choose your printer, whatever active printer you have, you can choose it. And if you need more details about the printer, you can go to printer properties. You want it to be colored, you want it black and white, and all those details would be lying in the printer property. Then you would choose in the settings here, do you want to print the active sheet, like whatever sheet you just selected, or you want to print the entire workbook, or you want to print a certain selection within a sheet. So you can choose that. In our case, we will choose the active sheet that we selected, which have these data in it. Then you can decide as well which pages, in case you chose the entire worksheet, then he will ask you which pages you want to be printed out of that worksheet. In this case, we chose a certain active sheet, and he would say if your sheet is including more than one page, do you want to print certain pages of your worksheet or no? Then you can decide, I need out of 4, I need pages 1 and 2 to be printed. Then do you want to print on one side or on both sides? Then you can choose if you want it collated or uncollated. And you can choose as well the print orientation in a vertical portrait orientation, or you want it to be a landscape orientation. So we choose landscape. You can see we have enough space on the sides of our table or of our data being landscape. Like you flip the paper 90 degrees and you see the data being printed on it. Sometimes landscape help you displaying more data in a certain way, so it could be handy. In this case, portrait make more sense. Then you can choose what is the size of the page that you're trying to print. Are you trying to print an A5 size, A4 size, legal, letter, and so on? The standard is letter in this case. Then you choose the margin. Sometimes your data are going beyond the margin or the standard margin, if you will. So usually you have the normal margin having those dimensions on the sides. Margins, we mean the edges of the paper. Sometimes you need to be having more wider margin for, you know, if you have footnotes or whatever you're trying to design with the paper, or even it's more aesthetically acceptable, then you can choose the wide. And most cases you will choose the narrow because it just gives you more printing space and less marginal space. Then you choose, you wanna have the sheet no scaling, so the sheet will be in its actual size, or you want to fit the sheet in one page, or you want to fit all the columns in one page. So the program will be concerned on having all the column of data in that sheet to be displayed in one page, but you will have more rows to be added to the next page, as you see here. But if you say fit all the rows in one page, he will fit all the rows 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way to the end in one page regardless of columns. But that could result in some cases to have columns in the next page, which becomes more unacceptable. So I would say fit the whole sheet on one page if possible. Then in this case you have all the data for that sheet to be displayed in one page, and you'll be ready to go to do your print. Here you can choose on the corner, zoom to page. You can choose to show the margins. As you can see, here is the margins. So go back here, choose wide margins. You can see the margin is wider now on both sides, but still all your data is being displayed in one page, which is good. You have normal margin look like this. You have narrow margin looking like this. Sometimes you need to zoom, make sure So I hold control and the mouse scroll in this case. Then you can zoom into your page and inspect and make sure everything is fitting as needed. So that should be it. You should be ready to print any page as needed. So let's try to play again with a bigger sheet. We have a bigger sheet over here. Let's either go file print or control P. So either you go to file, then you choose print, or you click on control, you type in control P, and now you can see he's fitting all the data in one page. What if I want to fit all the rows in one page? Still, you're fitting all the data in one page. Fit all the columns in one page, then we result with 4 pages in order to print with all the columns being included in one page. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can scroll through these pages over here to review before you do your final print. Whenever you feel you're ready, you can go ahead and print, and it will print the paper out of the printer that you chose in your previous settings. What if you don't have a printer, or you don't want to print those data into an actual paper? What if you want to have it as a PDF? Myself, I prefer using PDF most of the time. So I would love to have those data, instead of being in Excel format, will be more readable in a PDF format, either on the PC, on a laptop, or on a tablet. Will be more readable, and you can easy to add your comments and review with your teams and whatsoever. So it is always a good practice to have the sheet as a PDF, as an alternative to paper, in case you prefer that method. In this way, you need to make sure you have a PDF program on your computer. Either you have the Adobe PDF, or myself, I have the Foxit Reader PDF. So I can choose that PDF program as a printer. In this case, when I click on print, he will save it as a PDF. He's not actually printing, he's saving the file or that specific sheet into a PDF document. So here the program is asking you what name do you want to give to that document and where do you want it to be saved. In this case, I want to save it into desktop, and you can see here the extension of the file is PDF.